There are so many reasons to get the free version of Davinci Resolve. It's fantastic. It's basically fully featured as far as basic nonlinear video editing is concerned. But there's one feature that I think is absolute insanity that it's free. Let's take a look. All right, so let's take a look at this one feature that Davinci Resolve has, among many others, which I hope to cover in future videos, that to me makes it seem almost impossible that this software is free. I really hope this stays free because this is outstanding. I don't understand how Blackmagic Design can actually do this. Well, there are a lot of factors into it, but so if you look, I already have a project open up. I'll show you how to do this from start to finish, but I already have this project open up. If I have full screen here, I can show you the final product that I kind of came up with. Maybe if I can get this. Okay, see that right there. This is kind of the final product that I came up with. Really awesome looking clip of my wife. We were out in the snow. She was not happy with me that I made her stand in the snow, but that's beside the point. You can see here. Now, I'm no color science guru, but I have found that using a few serial nodes and separating some of your channels as far as, different effects on your clips, I found this works pretty well for some really nice color grading, especially grading, good grief, S-Log footage. So you can see the before and after here. But the specific feature that I want to show you is the Qualifier feature. Okay. And the Qualifier, I can show you right here, it's this color picker where you can pick, like, for example, skin tones, right? I can pick the skin tones, and then I can, if I turn on my highlighted modes here, I can highlight a specific portion of the image and affect only that image. So I've done this for two different reasons in this clip. And I'm going to show you why from start to finish. So I'm just going to skip the color grading part itself. So I'm going to delete these two nodes right there. And you can see that does quite a bit to the image. You can see the difference there when I delete those nodes. I mean, it takes out most of the color and just really adds some vibrance to them. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to do this. And still baffles me that this is free. I can't believe that this is free. It's actually insane in my opinion. So I've already done a small, some small color correction on this image. I've added some contrast, a little bit of saturation, a little bit of white balance. It's not perfect. In my last video, I covered that I filmed this in the incorrect white balance. That was my mistake. But luckily, I've been able to recover the image mostly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a corrector node. I'm going to put it into our input-output line here. And I'm going to label it skin tones. Now, once I have this node selected, I'm going to come down to this color picker icon, and it should say Qualifier when you hover over it, which conveniently it does. Funny how that works. Now, if you click on that and there's nothing coming up in here, and you're like, oh no, like what's happening? Like why can't I pick anything? Well, you just need to select it right here. Sometimes I don't know if it's a bug or sometimes it's just Davinci Resolve just remembers something else. But when you select the qualifier down here, sometimes it doesn't always select qualifier through in your window. So sometimes you may have to do that. So once I do that, I'm going to select kind of a mid-tone portion of the skin. And it's a pretty grayish tone. Again, like I said, I shot in the wrong white balance, so a lot of the color will have to recover manually. But I'm going to select this right here. Okay. And you can see barely over here in my node preview, it kind of shows me what I have selected, but that's not a big enough window for me. I would like to see it more in detail. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to select split screen. And I already have it in highlighted modes. And this is a really, really awesome tool to be able to see my highlighted modes for, like, example, my qualifier, right? Currently I'm using my qualifier and it's showing me the different modes for my selection. So for now, I'm just going to have kind of these two centered right here. Okay. So a few adjustments that I can make. If I want to increase the saturation for my selection, my qualifier selection, I can do that. If I want to adjust the hue, I can do that as well. So I can finish selecting the rest of the face. And then if I want to adjust this so that it selects a more refined area of the face and a little bit of the skin tone coloring, the orange like skin tone coloring that we want, that's going to be in the hat, the hair, that sort of thing. Then I want to denoise it. I usually choose between 10 and 15 points. Seems to do a pretty good job. If we zoom in here on the image, you can see that when we denoise it, it gets rid of all that yucky graininess. So I can denoise it. Usually 15 is good. I'm going to increase my blur radius just a little bit. I don't know, maybe 30 points, just until it looks okay. This is so you don't get any weird noisiness in the color grade, right? Because we're just affecting these pixels that are being displayed right here. Okay, it's going to exclude everything else, right? So if we look in this version right here of our highlighted modes, we are selecting the facial tones among others, a few others, and then everything that's black will remain unaffected. Again, I cannot believe this is free because this is fantastic, especially if you're a colorist and you need to do this, and it's really important for you to get your image looking super good, which should be everyone's goal if you're a filmmaker, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to deselect that so I have a good selection, and I'm going to do that again here in a second. But I have a good selection. So once I have that selection, I can start adjusting my skin tones how I want. So let's say I want to get it to more of a skin tone. Well, boom, I adjust my offset. Right now I'm in log. Oh, look at that. It's already so much better looking. I mean, my wife didn't need a lot of help. She's beautiful, but this image was very gray. And if I delete this, look at that. Look at that. It helped so much to just put the saturation back into the skin tones, but the skin tones alone. And it looks like it affected some of the background as well. And we can change that if we need to, but I'm going to cover that in a different video. That's another free feature that I can't believe is here that I'm going to cover in a different video. So it looks a little matte, so I might increase the contrast. Where are you, contrast? There it is. The contrast just within the skin tone selection. See what I did there? I just increased the contrast a little bit so that the highlights and the shadows kind of popped for me, okay? So it's already looking a lot better. So that's pretty cool. In my last video, I talked a little bit about the orange and teal look. And I'm going to go over that again in this video because that pertains to this particular free feature which Davinci Resolve 16, the free version, has. And it's so cool. So I'm going to add another node, another corrector. And again, there's probably a better way to do this. And I don't understand nodes as well as I wish I did. But this is a pretty effective way that I have found where you don't break your footage down too quickly as you're adjusting your image. So this one is going to be labeled orange teal, just like that. Now, I'm going to come down to my qualifier. I'm going to select the skin tones again. I'm going to go through a similar process, bring up my side-by-side. Maybe it looks like I need to definitely increase my hue for what I'm grabbing. Maybe slide it to about there. I may need to adjust my saturation as well. And potentially my luminance. Nah, I'll leave it alone. I don't know if I need to come down a bit. Nah, I'll just leave that alone, okay? Denoise it 15 points. I'm just going to match what I did last time. So blur radius about 30. Okay. So now I have another good selection. Now, instead of making changes to these particular pixels that I selected in the last one, which have a pretty similar selection here, I'm going to reverse it or invert it. So now I have everything but the skin tones selected. Okay, this is where I'm going to apply my orange and teal effect. The reason I want to do this is because my orange tones I'm already enhancing with the skin node, the skin tone node. Okay, and if you want to affect other colors, other tones, other pixels, I guess, in the image, you can create a node and you can do a color picker, and you can do whatever you want. And that's what's so cool. That's what's so amazing about this feature that's in the free version of Davinci Resolve. I never got stopped once in this process saying, oh, you need to purchase the full version to be able to do this. It's amazing that you can do this in the free version. It's absolute insanity. So I'm going to grab my orange and teal. I'm just going to go to my shadows, and I'm going to just drag it to teal. Look at that. Oh my goodness. I think that looks pretty sweet. That looks really good. Maybe I'm biased. It is my wife. But I think it looks really good. So if I unfull screen that, by the way, to full screen, quick full screen with wherever you're working within Davinci Resolve, Control F. It's a nice handy little feature, especially if you're working in a multi-monitor setup. I switched to just my main monitor while I record, just because I don't feel like recording two screens and meshing them together, and that's just more work than it's worth. But yeah, so that's already looking really good. Within the orange and teal node, I'll probably desaturate just the shadows. So I'll do a nice little curve that desaturates the shadows. And it's very little that's getting affected. You can see right here in the coat, that's all that's being affected. So I'll increase and decrease the saturation so you can kind of see what that's doing, just like that. Within my orange and teal node, if I want to, I can adjust this into the more orange, space if I want to, but I'm going to leave it because I think my grade actually looks good other than that. And my skin tone node is already kind of taking care of the majority of oranges in the image anyway. Okay, so you can see the nodes I've already created there. My saturation, which is just my original clip, I just threw a little bit of saturation in there. Maybe not the best solution, but it worked in a pinch. My exposure, temperature, my second saturation node, since I'm working with S-Log3, so usually I max out one node just to bring color back into the image where I'm shooting in such a gray profile. And then the fact that I can do skin tones and orange and teal, and just select those colors is actually insane. And that's kind of what I wanted to go over. And so you can see here, this looks really good. It looks really, really good. And I can show you the before and after. So I'll click play and then take off the grade. So that's my S-Log, my original footage. And that's with everything applied. And I'm going to push pause. I'm going to delete these two nodes. And look at the image before those nodes and after. So again, thanks for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I'm still just starting out, so I hope that as you come across my videos that you like and subscribe, as everyone likes to say these days. And I have more things to come. I myself am learning a lot with Davinci Resolve, and as I'm learning, I want to share it with you guys. So that's kind of my goal. Thanks for watching.